All right, what's going on, everybody? This is going to be my weekly recap for the week ending on May 10th, 2024. And I took, I think I was three setups this week. This was the Monday setup. This was actually a loss. This first trade had initially, took short here, went into a profit. This is on the 1 minute chart, and I ended up breaking even. And then I went to short again from this candle right here, and this one had stopped me out. Um, and I probably would have ended up stopping me out here had I actually gotten in to see this move. But either way, that was a loss for about $110, I believe. And let's see. Let's see, we got, so that was Monday. So I guess I didn't trade again until Thursday. Uh, and then here we had this trade that got stopped out about halfway back up this big red candle for about $156 profit. And then once that happened, I took this long position and sold here at roughly, what was this? Check my trading journal here. That second long position was $338 profit. So for the week, what was it? We had 494 minus 160, $334 profit for the week, which isn't bad. However, we are had to recover from some drawdown from the week prior, and that's a big part of the reason why I reduced my position sizing for this week. Just because recently when I had increased it to $150 per trade, I started to get into some issues. I don't know if it was just that's just the probabilities with my strategy. I have about a 34% win rate at the moment after roughly 50 trades. So I have a decent amount of sample size to sort of optimize for my risk based on this win rate. I would say. So I'm definitely going to try and keep my trades less frequent. Try and really not to test the limits of what is reasonable for me to trade. I really do want to try and stick to 2 3 setups, and then if one of those setups does really well, like I feel like I should be more inclined to call it for that week, because I typically, some of my most profitable weeks are weeks that's exactly what I've done. And I think, although I after looking back at my Wednesdays are not as bad trading wise as I thought they would be. Because I know typically during the middle of the week you see more periods where the market's ranging, where you're going through a consolidation period within the price, and that's true usually, but recently my Wednesdays are about as good as any other day of the week that I trade. However, I do think the benefit in not trading on Wednesdays is going to come from just giving myself that day to sort of reset. Um, just reset, mentally, emotionally, whatever, however I'm feeling about trading at that point in the week. If I started off Monday and Tuesday with losses, I feel like I'm much more likely on during those weeks to be in a position where I'm inclined to push or force a trade on that Wednesday. So taking that Wednesday to take time away from the charts in order to sort of come back a little bit more recovered, potentially Thursday or Friday to look for another setup, I think is a good idea. There are definitely, although like I said, my Wednesdays, my trading hasn't really been bad per se. There are definitely a lot more setups that will have higher um, uh, probabilities and more opportunities for higher risk to reward on Thursday and Friday for sure. Because you see a lot more volume moving during those days. So I guess that's really all I have for this recap. Next week, I'm just gonna be continuing to um, try and stay patient. I'm not gonna be increasing my risk until my account is back in the green, which I'm guess technically I am right now, but based on just wins and losses, but over the amount of commission that I've paid on a lot of these trades and broker fees and stuff like that, I still want to get a little bit more profit in before I feel comfortable depositing any more money into my account or increasing my risk in some way. So I'm just, the more I find, historically, I've just found that the more I've limited my trading, I tend to see a lot more corrections within my trading results. A lot of the things that I'm trying to mitigate, uh, they kind of get mitigated a little bit by just simply me trading less. And so since I lose, you know, 2 out of 3 trades, roughly, I do think that taking 3 trades a week and finding, because I mean some of these trades that I'm taking, some of my larger winners, I mean 8, 10, 12 to 1 risk reward. So if I can be more selective in a way and find some of those better setups that's going to give me many multiples of my risk, um, then adjusting my strategy and trying to limit the instances that I'm trading in order to preserve some of those bigger winners, it's going to be a good idea. And in my opinion, this is just what I've decided to the perspective that I sort of have now on my strategy and how everything, all the results are compiling. But also eventually, I anticipate that as I get more selective, um, because right now there are times when I might take a fourth setup. So I'm still trying to stay really really strict and work on that. You know, just that ability for me to say that I don't need to trade the market, even if I see something in front of me that looks good to trade. The I've been tracking every trade, so like the results would say that I lose most of my trades. So if that's the case, I want to try and maximize my winners and really try and limit the number of times that I'm putting my foot out there. So that way I'm not, looking to give it all back and just trying to find some type of balance. And that maybe eventually my win rate will also go up as I get more selective, as I take fewer setups, as I start to see um, patterns within my trading, and setups that work the most, and sort of like those A setups and B setups and so on. And so I'll start to hopefully develop a better sense of how good a setup is, even though I've seen instances where okay, the market looks like it's going to move up or it's going to move down, but hopefully I'll get a more nuanced sense of a particular trend direction, and be able to gauge for uh, you know high probability setups that have a potential to go very very far. I mean, obviously, when you're doing some type of analysis on the chart, you're going to be looking at some of those higher time frames to get a sense that a particular trending move could be a very big move, right? So if you see that high time frame confluence versus just some type of setup developing on 1 or 5 minute chart, that could be an indicator, right? But it's obviously it takes a lot to be able to catch those 100+ point moves with having a low amount of risk. And sometimes the range of the market, it's going to stop you out. So it's all trying to figure out how much can you risk in order to catch the maximum amount of this trend that's occurring. So I've had some really successful ones in the past. I mean, my best trade so far has been a 12 to 1 risk reward, and I only risked $70 on that trade, which that's the best I've done so far. Hopefully, as I start to review some of the trades I've taken in the past, I'll look at um, what sort of setups they were, and just start to take a mental note of that. And hopefully, going forward, we're going to be able to pick some higher probability setups. I'm still making some mistakes. Obviously, every trade idea is not going to work, and I kind of got to live with that, and just be able to risk accordingly. Um, but obviously, I would like to see my win rate up somewhere closer to 50%, just to give me a little bit more leeway with my risk and still be able to estimate that I'm going to win at least half my trades. Because if I'm closer to that 50% range of win rate, I don't have to. Because I mean, it is a lot of stress, a lot of pressure to leave positions open, particularly when they're large positions. So if I'm able to get to a point where I'm winning enough of my trades that I don't have to try and go for a 12-1 or more at any opportunity. Now, it would be lovely to capture all those moves and be able to still take trades that are that big. But obviously, the higher your win rate, the less important. I don't want to say it's not as essential, in a sense. It's not as essential for you to try and capture as many R's as you can. You know what I mean? If you're 2-1, 3-1, and you lose half your trades, you know what I mean, you're very profitable doing that. And I do see a fair number of my losing trades that were, at times 2 or 3-1 in profit. Uh, and I would love to be in a position, when my if my strategy that allows me to take those profits without feeling like, I can't afford to leave the continuation of that move on the table, right? I want to be able to be happy with 2 or 3 R. And right now, I just really feel a lot of, I feel like compelled to try and, shoot for 5, 6, 7, 8 R. And so, this week I did very well. I did very well trailing my stop loss, particularly on that long position that I entered on Thursday. And I trailed that on a 1 minute time frame. Every 1 minute candle, as price moved up, I trailed right down to the candle previous. And it wasn't difficult for me to do that. It felt comfortable to do at the time, which I think is good. I just have to sort of continue to adopt that, you know, the mentality of just accepting what the market has to offer you, and that every day you're not going to be able to get your next biggest trade, right? And so part of it's an expectation thing, like I've just described, and then part of it is you know just me wanting to optimize and get the best result out of everything. But I'm sort of, it's easy to get ahead of yourself and try and optimize before you're really consistent. And so I'm just really trying to make sure that I'm constantly adjusting my mind, or readjusting my mind, and focusing on that consistency aspect, and being able to follow my strategy and trade the way that I should trade, not the way that I see certain people trade on social media. Some of who maybe faking their accounts, and others who are legitimate and have been trading for many many years. Um, this is about halfway through my third year of trading, so 2.5 years in, and I've definitely come a long way. I definitely still feel like I'm far from being able to like rely on this as an income, because I'm still sort of mastering myself in a lot of ways. And there's definitely still a lot of things for me to learn, but uh, I feel like I have gotten to a place where I'm able to start to self correct a lot of issues that before I just didn't have like the awareness or experience to understand. And a lot of these concepts I've now sort of um, started to become more principled in my approach, and try and focus on like just the things that are important, and not focus on my win rate so much, accept the trade for what it is when you take it. But I'm always trying to just improve and take note of any mistakes that I make. Right, I want to make sure that I'm, especially on my losing days. Right, it's difficult to be honest with yourself on those losing days and just like be able to correct for all of the things that you did wrong, especially when in the moment your mind is sort of convincing you that you're doing the right thing, especially when it feels good to be in profit, right? So your mind's sort of like naturally wired to try and chase that feeling, and it takes a very long time for you to be able to uh, adjust your mind in a way that allows you to comfortably get out of a trade, and not bag hold, not expose yourself to unnecessary risk, not over leverage, or take there's too much risk, too much position size, too much whatever, no stop loss. God, this is the worst. So this just takes a long time to unlearn all of those bad habits that you're sort of naturally wired to do when you first start trading. And then after that, you have to build up the awareness of yourself that most people don't have prior to that. It's very difficult to know when you're to recognize in the moment when you're getting excited, to make profit or something like that, and be able to stop that and to ensure that you're constantly checking yourself and to making sure you're staying measured, and then you're not getting swept up into your emotions. So it's a very, very difficult thing. And all of that, that all goes into your ability to stay consistent. That ultimately is what dictates a lot of people's failure in trading, and reason why a lot of people end up quitting. Um, a lot of it is, you know, a lot of it's that expectation thing. So it's all, a lot of it is sort of all kind of connected in a lot of ways. But you will get to a point where your success is not in trading is not going to be determined by your knowledge of the charts. It's never going to be determined by understanding supply and demand, or support and resistance, or Wyckoff, or Elliott waves, or anything like that, or Bollinger Bands. It's going to come to a point where there's nothing else that you can learn in a book, or well, maybe in some books, but any YouTube video is not going to teach you the resiliency and discipline you have to develop through taking real trades and putting real money on the line and developing real risk management strategies. Uh, there's certain things that you can only develop through repetition, and that's one of them. You cannot learn how to be strong as a trader and disciplined and consistent as a trader without having actually gone through those processes and done the things. It's just, you can only read so many books about basketball before you have to actually go out there and shoot a basketball to get better at basketball. Same type of thing. Um, but yeah, so I think that's just where my mind is at the end of this week, I guess. Going into next week, like I said, patience, being selective, trying to keep my risk under, hovering right around $100 per trade. And that's it. I wish you all the best. I wish you luck in your trades. Feel free to leave any questions in the comments, or whatever thoughts you have. If you have any advice for me as a trader, or if you have any you know anything that you would like to see me do in these videos, uh, just let me know, and we'll see you all next week.